What up, world? It's your man G. Williams coming at you, and I already got, man, I can't even say it because this topic right here is too serious. We had to come at you with a special edition of the Book of G.
Word.
Right here on the eve of this grand jury verdict with the Mike Brown case. I got to say something.
What up, world? It's your boy G. Lewis, and I say what I say because I am my father's son.
It's real, okay? It is real. We got the verdict. We got the grand jury verdict back, and no indictment for Officer Darren Wilson. It is disheartening. It's troubling. So many emotions right now running through myself, my colleague, and just the people in the streets. The streets is talking. The streets is hot right now because of what has gone on. And so we got to talk about this thing, man. We got to talk about it. Let's just parlay.
Let's jump right in. So, I mean, what did you think of the grand jury's decision?
Huge mistake.
Okay.
I thought it was a huge mistake. Just that right there just solidified to me that the voice of the people don't matter. You know, I was able to be a part of a similar jury trial in which the point of the me being called into jury duty was to see if the case was going to go to trial.
Right.
And with that experience, what I saw was they gave you very limited information because your job was not to decide the case during that time. It was strictly to see if it was going to go to trial. And what I watched was a prosecutor come in and inform us on national television. He gave none of the prosecution. He gave a defense as a prosecutor and said that the trial won't go forward. Okay? So what I saw was a man mastermind plot not to go to trial because he didn't want to go against the people he was working with. That's what I saw.
That's real talk. That's real talk. I mean, D.A. McCullough, I'm going to call you out. He didn't want to indict. That was obvious, which is why we ended up with the grand jury. He could have did the indictment himself.
Absolutely.
He really didn't, according to the transcripts, he really didn't challenge Officer Wilson's testimony at all. He said, there was conflicting evidence. Well, isn't that the reason why we go to trial? That's the whole reason why we have a trial, is to decide which evidence is really factual and which evidence isn't. You got a jury with 9 whites and 3 blacks, and we talk about jury of our peers. That didn't seem like but that would have been for Officer Wilson. Right. That would have been a jury of his peers.
Because all you needed was 9.
Exactly.
To get the verdict.
That's all you needed. They got exactly what they needed. So I mean, let me go over a couple of facts that came out with Officer Darren Wilson's testimony. He said that, and I quote, quoting him, he said, there are a lot of gangs in this area, there are a lot of weapons in this area, and, people are armed in that community, and I'm telling you, we don't like that community. It's not well liked. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but did we not just establish mens rea for motive for him doing what he's doing by him making that statement? We just established his state of mind before he even arrived at the crime scene, that he drove into a community that he established that police force does not like. Okay? He also stated that he washed his hands twice after the crime. So we didn't get any powder residue from him. We didn't get any blood stains or even photographs. Right. So we know that breaks the chain of custody evidence. And he admitted that he did it. Right. Not one person challenged him on it. Right?
At all.
He also said that that Mike Brown was hitting him with his right hand after he previously said Mike Brown had the cigars in his right hand. And one of the jurors said, wait a minute, didn't Mike Brown have the cigars in his right hand? And he said, oh, he stopped, turned around, handed the cigars to his friend. Now, Officer Darren Wilson at this point still didn't break away. He turned back around and started to continue hitting him. And then at that moment, he had his hero moment and broke away and was able to, free himself and get to his weapon. Let me tell you something. Sounds very controversial to me, and that was enough to have a trial.
To have a trial, absolutely.
Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. Governor Jay Nixon, who has done everything that he could to avoid and delay this trial. Big problem. Democrat governor, but I'm going to get back to that. Chief of police, who hid Officer Wilson's name as long as he possibly could and made sure that he put him in a place to where nobody could get to him or nobody could talk to him or question him or ask him any questions. As long as he could. They're supposed to release the name as soon as something like this happens. That's his job. He's a public servant. Last but not least, Missouri state law. Missouri state law says that an officer just has to say he fears for his safety in order to discharge his weapon and use deadly force. He does not have to describe the escalation in the use of force, which the DA didn't explain last night. So you got all of these things that are controversial, which obviously shows that we have a big, big problem in Ferguson.
Yes, huge problem, huge problem. And then to piggyback on that a little bit, did you see the pictures of this cat?
Yeah.
It looked like to me he was sleepy. Him sleepy. Him was sleepy. Because all of the damage that Mike Brown had supposedly done to him, his cheek was a little rosy. He white. No diss, I'm saying. He white. His cheeks look rosy, and he looked like maybe he had a little cut on his arm where he took his watch off.
And he did an interview on ABC, I think it was ABC News, and he said, my conscience is clear. And if I had to do it all over again, I would. On the eve of this decision, and on these people's reaction, this is what you went public and said. If the Justice Department don't do something about this, we have a whole nother problem, but we gonna get to that.
Right.
We gonna get to that. So, okay. So what do you think about the reaction, the people's reaction to the decision?
Honestly, I think it's justified.
Okay.
I think it's justified, and it's split, because they're justified in reacting the way that they have, as far as some of the writing that's going on. And I'm gonna say it. Because, how do you expect someone to act civilized in a system that has failed them time and time again?
That's real tough.
If you're constantly under a system that you know doesn't work, why then must I cooperate with it? Okay? So what's going on right now? That people are talking about, why would you destroy your own community? Okay, from what I done heard, there's been a McDonald's, a Little Caesars, a liquor store, and some beauty salon, a beauty supply place that are hung up. There's plenty more of them in the ghetto. That stuff that are burnt up, that stuff that burnt up is not going to affect the community in such a way in which it can't recover. Okay? And on the other side, I think the reaction was fine too, because you had justified protesters, okay, who are doing it the correct way and practicing civil disobedience and marching and doing things, the way that, people will want them done. But again, I don't necessarily agree with tearing up everything, but I understand. I understand completely, and I don't fault those people who are doing it because that's the way what they feel. Because the truth is, they're not tearing stuff up because of this Mike Brown decision. That's honest. You know why people are setting stuff on fire? It's because of Trayvon Martin. It's because of Michael Jordan. It's because of Sean Bell. It's because of all those people who have gone before us who were innocent. okay, who were innocently shot down. They're setting stuff on fire because of all the times they were stopped by the police when they had no reason to be stopped. They're setting all that stuff on fire because of the jobs they didn't get because of the color of their skin. That's why people are looting. And if you are part of the dominant society who is saying that what are they doing by blazing their community and how are they proving a point by stealing some soda, I'm telling you, just because you have not lived the life that we've had to live all this time, it's easier for you to separate yourself and point the finger looking in, saying that why are they doing that? You're part of the problem because you're not taking any time to understand the other side and the other view, to think why you're looking at the end result when you're not focusing on the problem. So you're the problem.
I'm gonna be a little more harsh. I do agree with you. I'm gonna be a little more harsh because what I will say is there has to be what's called organized chaos. We can't destroy black businesses because all it does in the morning is set back what we're trying to accomplish. Some of those businesses that they did burn down is some of the same people that were supporting them, giving funds for posters and flyers that were, bringing food out to people while they were protesting coffee. You can't destroy black businesses. Now here's something that's interesting, because I like to use movie quotes, and there was the movie where they talked about Bumpy Johnson, and he said he talked to Lucky Luciano, and he told him if Dutch Schultz continues to make his presence felt uptown, I'm gonna make my presence felt downtown. Which means if we're going to act chaotic, and I'm not condoning acting chaotic, but if you go act chaotic, then have the kind of impact and get the kind of attention that you need. Don't cut off your hand to try to make a point to somebody. It's not going to do you any good. And then when you destroy police property, really all you doing is giving them a blank check to be able to buy better, faster, stronger equipment to whoop your ass the next time they see you. So think about what you do before you do it, however, I get it because people are tired. They're tired of not getting justice. And I say this all the time. There is a big difference between law and justice. And so because people are not getting justice and they're not feeling like they're being heard, they are losing control. I can understand that. I might do something stupid like that myself. And then the funny part is, if you look at the police response, man, they launched tear gas and they was moving in force and riot gear. They had the National Guard there. They had all of these things there because these people were so menacing and so hostile, and what they were organized to do was so out of control. But you look at the people when the Giants won the World Series, they was destroying shit, but they weren't black. But there was no riot gear out there. You look at the kids when the Kentucky Wildcats won the championship, they was tearing stuff up, set 6 fires on campus. There was nothing that happened to them. And then you look at that pumpkin thing where the kids was out there and they was tearing stuff up and flipping cars over there. There was no riot gear and gas in those events. So the thing is I understand the chaos, but number one, we can't give them an excuse to do what they do because this is what they tell the rest of the world. And then the rest of the world looks at it and says, well, I can understand why the police respond the way that they do because they don't understand because they haven't been through this. So we got to remember that because they don't experience it, they can't understand it. And they being fed stuff through the media that leads them to believe that our response is not warranted. So that's one thing. But two, 1 and 1 needs to equal 2, which means if you're going to do it for these group of people, then you have to do it for these group of people. And the only difference that I see between Ferguson and Kentucky and the hockey game and the San Francisco Giants is those people look different. Their skin color looks different. So their response is different. So when we say race has nothing to do with it, tell me another reason why there was a difference in the response.
Thank you. All right. Moving on. Leadership. Well, I'm gonna ask you that. Where's the black leadership right now?
Where the cameras is at? I mean, you know what? We have something. Here's something I really want to say, and I hope black leadership is listening. You have a real opportunity right now. I haven't seen a movement this galvanized since watching old video footage of movements from the 60s. Like, these people they're coming back. They're getting arrested, going home when they get released, taking showers, changing clothes, and coming right back to the same spot where they got arrested to protest the next day. Black leadership has to take advantage of this opportunity, but it just can't be the same old tired speeches and the same old tired leaders. I'm sorry not to insult anybody, but we need everybody involved. I mean, Nation of Islam, where are you at? NAACP, where are you at? National Action Network, where are you at? Urban League, where are you at? I mean, hey, black fraternities, black sororities, where are you at?
Yeah, step your ass on over there.
Yeah, black business owners, the Black Bar Association, where are you at? Black churches, where are you at? These leaders should be on the ground in force, because that's what keeps rioting from happening, and that's also what creates organized chaos. And you know what? Last but not least, heads of these so-called quote-unquote gangs who say, we here to protect the community, we here to help the community, we really all about the community. Okay, well, you know what? Where are you at too? Because these people trust you, they know you, they got faith in you, and they look at you as not the enemy because you anti-law enforcement. So they trust you. So where are all of y'all at? So when we talk about black leadership, we talking about a big, wide spectrum. However, I did see a lot of people on the ground. I did see some people on the ground, and I did see some angry people this morning that are still protesting. You know, and you know, the matter of fact, the state senator, Chapel Nadal, I don't know how long she gonna be in office, because that woman is fired up. She's taking aim at the governor. She's taking aim at the mayor. She's on the streets walking with the people with her hands up. This is a state senator, y'all, doing what the people elected her to do, represent them. So I got to give her props. You know, we got some people who started, just like what we doing right now, started a local news. We got the cop watch that's just been started, where people are just walking around with video cameras, just filming everything that police do. Sad that we got to get to that point, but if it's necessary, it's what has to happen. So, you know, we just got to make sure that there is not more talk, and there's finally going to be some solutions.
There it is.
What about you?
I have nothing else to say on that.
Nothing on that one?
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay. Well, did you hear the president's comments?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What did you think of the president's comments?
Textbook political speech.
Okay.
Because it offered there was no clear-cut stand on where he as an individual felt.
Right.
I understand he has a title, he has an office that he has to walk in, and it's a fine line that the president does have to walk. I understand, but his speech didn't take advantage of the opportunity yet again that an African American president could have to affect some real change in this nation. Okay? And that is my view on the president's speech. Now, however, the mayor of Sacramento, former Phoenix NBA star Kevin Johnson, really said what he felt. It was a travesty, and that far too often Mike Browns are happening across the country. And I looked at the media, and they tore him apart. You know,
even though he's in the state of California,
even though he's here, you know, and they tore him apart. And so, again, I get what the president's doing as his office, but it was very disheartening to me at the same time, because it was a typical political response.
Okay, and you know what, I do agree with you. You know, the president has some things that he's trying to accomplish, and he's going to need some help to be able to do that. So he can't exactly just piss everybody off right away. So I get that. However, he did address that there is a long-standing distrust between communities of color and law enforcement. Something that needed to be said from the presidential office. This is something that has been going on for years, and people have said, oh, racism is over. Oh, we're in a post-racial society. So for him to say that is his way of saying, hey, there's a reason why people don't trust their local law enforcement. That's number one. He talked about the history of racism that exists in America, which is very important to come from the presidential office. And he talked about working with the Attorney General for changing the way local police do business. I think that is crucial, because when have we seen the Attorney General come down and say, I'm going to investigate these local police agencies because of the way things are going? Even if we don't get the result that we might want, these things I look at and I feel inspired by it. However, like you said, it's more talk.
It's more talk.
It's more talk.
And the President of the United States has to go to Ferguson.
I agree.
He has to.
I agree. I agree.
So,
yeah. Okay. So should the Justice Department issue an indictment?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, for the reasons that we stated in the beginning, which was you have a prosecutor who is too involved to be biased. So
and has a history of being pro law enforcement.
And so the Justice Department has to step in and get a trial, get an indictment, because again, it's too small for Ferguson law enforcement. So now the big dogs got to come in and get this thing right.
I think definitely they need to issue an indictment. And people say, well, is that fair to Officer Wilson? Well, look, that's the name of the game. Officer Wilson was put in a situation to where he was going to deal with a double investigation. The moment the chief of police hid his name, didn't release the information, displayed an obvious cover-up scenario from that police department. At that moment, it became something that someone else needed to come in and investigate. So as far as if it's fair to him, he needs to talk to his chief of police about that. Is there enough evidence to show probable cause? Without a doubt. Is there contradiction in the statements of the witnesses that are pro Mike Brown? Absolutely. Are there contradictions in people who are pro Darren Wilson? Absolutely. Are there contradictions in Darren Wilson's statement himself? Absolutely. And those contradictions are enough to bring a case. Not to mention the fact that his mens rea, I bring it back again, his mens rea, what it brought to the table was, before I left to go to that scene of that crime, I went into a neighborhood that us law enforcement do not like. We have a problem with. So that gives me enough with your state of mind to say that it's possible that you were willing to do anything.
Anything to anyone.
Exactly.
At any time.
So, hopefully the Justice Department does their due diligence, and we'll see what their results are soon, because their investigation is still pending. Does the media contribute to the problem? Oh, gosh. You know what? The media, at this very point, is spot on, because they're covering. Okay. Okay? So the media in this spot, yes, you're covering what we need to see, which is all the action that's happening on the ground. But does the media perpetuate and actually add to the powder keg of this whole situation? Yes, because sensationalism sells. And that's all they've done. That's what they do. It's all about ratings. Mm-hmm. And so the narrative from the media's, told by the media's perspective, it does nothing to help the situation. It only hurts. Because, you know what? As much as they are showing the looters, you know, even prior to this thing even happening and sparking up the things in people's mind, you know, there's a whole nother way or stories that could have been told by the media to maybe even help
calm this situation. Okay?
Definitely.
You know? So with them adding to the powder keg, and then the city of Ferguson themselves waiting, building it up, not letting the verdict go until late that evening, you had people who had time to go home, get off work, get their battle boots, get their masks, get everything, you know, in ready, and then listening to the radio and the TV all the while, getting psyched up for the things to pop off. So again, the media, hey, you're doing a great job of coverage, but you're not good at doing a great job of helping solve a problem.
Yeah, I definitely think the media is, with your coverage, you are allowing a light on a situation that they would much rather sweep under the rug. So I commend the media for putting guys on the ground with microphones in the crowds. I seen media guys get hit with tear gas last night. So I commend the media for what they're doing at this point and not allowing this story to just slip away, which is what I think